claims. They know precisely the single reason why this crisis came about, or they know the perfect solution is wrong.
When you try to create economic growth through a massive infusion of credit in the economy, so you create bubbles either in the housing sector or on the financial markets, that will at some point come to an end, and that end is going to be brutal.
The business model that characterized the last decade, which was based on too much debt, both in the public and private sector, needs to be revisited.
Our unresolved banking and financial crisis, in my opinion, has not yet fully revealed itself to us. And our response so far, and Ireland is a good example of this, has been to oblige states on their own to carry the adjustment cost of failed banks.
What governments have done throughout Europe for many years is basically borrowed as opposed to raising money from taxes, borrowed money to fund public services, and eventually that would have caused a problem anyway. It's been exacerbated now by the banking crisis. So basically, I suppose the main message we get from it is one, that problems have to be solved. They will eventually happen, they won't go away. Unfortunately, the second lesson we've learned is that we haven't yet got a solution.
Unless you have a financial system which is cleaned and which is solvent and which is looking forward and which dares to give credits to people who are taking risks, real risks in companies that produce something. Unless you have that, you won't get growth.
Europe needs to have a centralized system of bank supervision and a centralized system of bank resolution. In other words, a proper system for dealing with banks that go bust.
If the taxpayer has to bail out institutions, then I think there needs to be some clawback to ensure that the people who are making decisions know that they cannot make short-term decisions and get rich, and then allow the mistakes to become apparent later and let taxpayers pay.
We have to make it easier to do business across borders within the Eurozone and within the European Union more generally. I think we also have to focus on really enhancing our bilateral trade agreements. So the EU and China will be a very important one, the EU and many of the emerging economies, but I think the most important one is the EU-US trade relationship. That's something that has stagnated for 20 years, and we now really need to give it a second lease of life.